Hey guys, DCSR here, and welcome to another video showcasing a different deck. This time it is Madolche for Master Duel. Now this one is a unique one that I've been trying to, well, make for the past week or two. After I made a Dino deck. So yeah, I spent a lot of gems just trying to open all my Madolche packs. I got lucky. I got most of what I needed, but I had to craft maybe 1 or 2 cards in order to, yeah. So, I can explain a few things about why the deck looks a bit weird because of hand trap ratios, and yeah. So, this is a going second Madolche deck, and you don't really do much going first. So going second is mainly this deck's biggest strength. Going second is not really that good for this deck in general. Reason why is because you basically try and OTK your opponent on the second turn, which you'll see in the replays. Now, there are some cards I actually ran in the replays that look a bit different in the deck profile. I ran a card called, I'll show you what it's called. It's called Herald of the Orange Light. Now, this one I used in TCG, but I don't use it in Master Duel as much. I tried it, drew it, it never came up. That's the only downside of this card. You will see it in the replays, but it was never even used. So I replaced it for Evenly Matched instead. It's a good it's a good hand trap for monster effects, because mostly these your Madolche monsters in general, the ones down here, are all fairies. So this card can discard a fairy, which is you mostly grab these ones back in the end phase when you use certain effects, or use Promenade or Glass Souffle to return back to your hand using Chateau effect. That's one of the good things about Orange Light, which if you don't have that many copies of the URs and stuff like that, you're fine. Yeah, so also I will explain more about the hand traps, not hand traps, I'll explain more of the spells and trap lineups of why I chose those ratios in a moment. But I just want to explain to you that you can run a Herald of the Orange Light if you want a budget version of a hand trap. It's good up to a point. Herald is not too bad, but it just never came up for me. There were so many opportunities that it never came up. And you mostly have at least one fairy in your hand that you always summon out, so you usually have no fairies by the end, until the end of the turn. And that's what this deck's weakness is. It's very glass cannony, but it's also very powerful just to OTK, because this deck spams like crazy. You won't really see much Nibiru in this. That's why I haven't crafted Nibiru in this one. If I do craft a Nibiru for my 30 UR ZP jewels, then I'll craft one Nibiru just to put it in here, and just for a Nibiru target for crossout. But other than that, yeah, this deck doesn't. It spams like crazy, and I've never got Nibiru because no one's ever drawn it. I don't know why. I've never got Nibiru in this deck. Anyway, I'll explain more of the ratios. So, okay, 2 maxi. I do own 3 copies, as you can see here. You don't need this as much in Madolche's. Hand traps are this deck's kryptonite, in a way. What I mean by kryptonite is that this deck hates having monsters in the graveyard. So, unless you draw like Angeli or Hoot Cake, this deck can't have a hand trap in the graveyard. That's why we're running a lot of least hand traps in this deck, because Pudding Cessor is this deck's main combo starter. And the reason why you need these two is because these summon out Hoot Cake, and then Hoot Cake summons out Petting Cessor, or you can use Angeli to summon out Petting Cessor. There are so many ways of getting to Petting Cessor. Petting Cessor is this deck's main win condition, in a way. It's the 1 card starter. That's why I'm running 2 maxi. I've seen some decks run 1 maxi. You don't need multiple maxis. It's not that good, and it's also a reason why I'm running another card in spells. 2 Madolche Hook Cake. Main you only run 2. You don't need 3. 1 Ash Blossom. It has never bothered me yet. I need more than 1 copy because yeah, it's that good. You don't need too many. You don't need too many copies. You don't need 2. You don't need 3. You only need 1. 1 for the cross out later on. I'll explain what. That's mostly the reason why. Yeah, you don't need 3 Ash. If you can run 2 or 3, but I just don't want it. I want to draw more like combo pieces rather than drawing into more Ash Blossoms, which this deck needs its combo starters to win. And after I fix this ratio for hand traps, yeah, this deck won me a lot of duels. 3 Mageline is your 1 card OTK starter. This one searches for Petting Cessor. Anything can get to Petting Cessor, you win. That's it. As long as you don't have another monster in the grave. If you have another monster in the grave, Petting Cessor literally cries. 2 Messenger Gelato. You only need 2. You can run 3, but it's a brick. You only need 2. 3 Angeli, the main summoner from the deck. It's one of the best starters. Well, not starters, but it's one of the best monsters to get into your Hook Cake, because when you tribute and you summon a Madolche from deck, it can't be destroyed by battle until the end of the next, your next end phase. Your next turn. So what you do is you summon Hook Cake in defense mode if you're going first, and they can't battle over it, so they have to remove card effects, but then again it gets banished or whatever, yada yada. 3 Petting Cessor. Now this card is your MVP. This card makes the deck. So basically, if you have no monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand for free. So basically, if you still have a monster on your field, and you have no monsters still in your graveyard, you can special summon this. So having another monster, such as Mageline, to search out Petting Cessor, and then summon this out straight away. And then if the card is special summoned, you can anyway. If it's special summoned in any way, you can special summon Madolche monster from your hand or deck. So sometimes you can brick with Pudding Cess, but that rarely happens. But if it does, that's how you can summon it from the hand. And yeah, it reduces its level by 1. So be very, very careful when you summon out monsters with Petting Cessor. So if you summon out Pudding Cess, it becomes a level 4 from the deck or hand. So yeah, that's the main reason. Kumungus and Gameciel are the 2 kaijus I'm running in this deck, because a lot of boards try and set up negations. So what you do is you kaiju them. This is a double-edged sword because you're giving 1 monster to them that's pretty big, beefy beater, but it's like you trade for OTK in a way. Duster, Lightning Storm, back row removal is very key. This deck hates back row, and it hates hand traps in general. This deck is very fragile, but it's very good at OTK if it goes off. 3 Prosperity. You need to dig into this deck to get into your Pudding Cessor, or a way to get into your Pudding Cessor. It's this deck's win condition. 1 Chateau. You only need 1. You don't need any more. Basically, if you do want to run a second copy, go ahead. But you only need the 1 copy because it's easy to recycle. 1 ticket. You only need 1. Salon. You can run 2 copies of this. I'm only running 3 because I want to draw this as soon as possible. Also note that these cards are considered bricks, so if you draw them without any way to get into your Pudding Cessor, your deck falls apart. It becomes a brick in the hand, and usually you can build a house with it. So yeah, you need Salon and your other ways, because this is a double summon. It's double summons, so this card allows you to normal summon additional times to your normal summoner set. And if a Madolche monster is shuffled into the deck, you can set a Madolche spell trap from your deck directly. With Ticket, if a Madolche card is reshuffled into the deck, or if let me try again. If it's a Madolche card is returned to your hand or deck, your main deck, by a card effect, you can add a Madolche monster from your deck to your hand. But if it's a fairy monster you have on your field, such as one of these ones, or the Xyz, the big ones, you can actually special summon them instead in attack position, ignoring their summon conditions. So very, very good. Well, except for the Xyz monster. Also, this is if a Madolche monster would be returned to the deck by a card effect, you can actually add it to your hand instead. So you can actually add for combo plays later on. And also, speaking of Herald, if you return, let's say, one of your fairy types to your hand, you can use it as a target for orange light. So you can easily reuse it next turn. You can use it for a hand trap. So very, very good. 2 Call by the Grave, you need this because this deck hates hand traps. And also 2 Crossout Designators. You can play 3 Crossout, but I feel like 2 is the good number because I don't want to take anything else. I feel like this ratio of numbers is good enough the way it is, but you can run additional copies. This is just a sample of what you can do, and this is what I've tried to build. I've tried different ratios. I've tried running it in with different cards and techs. It's just the good number, because I tried Kaiju Slumber. I've never drawn it, and I'd rather draw Crossout or Call by instead. So what Crossout Designator does is you declare a name, so you banish 1 card from your deck basically, and if they have that same card that they use, this turn they cannot use it. Their effect's negated. So they try to ash you, for example. If this card's still in the deck, you use Crossout Designator, banish the ash. Their ash is negated, and you can proceed to OTK them if possible. Pretty evenly matched. This card is mandatory in this deck if you're running Goic second deck. It doesn't affect you too much if it's going first in your hand, because most of your cards are going to be wiped by your opponent by either spell trap removal or some other ways, but evenly matched is not bad going first, because you usually just set it. But you can also keep it in your hand. It is a dead card going first, but you're mostly what my opponents do, they make me go second a lot, so I've always drawn evenly matches, and it never comes up because I don't need it, because I can easily OTK them. Unless they have a big back row board, I just evenly match them, which you'll see in the replay. 2 Imperms, you only need 2. The third one never came up, and the second one, sure, you could run a third just to draw into it more often, but 2 is all you need. 2 Promenade, you need 2 Promenade. You can run 1, but this card is so good that you use multiple copies. You can set 1 and you can add 1 to hand. It's only once per turn you can activate this, but it's very, very strong because it's basically Imperm but for Madolches in a way. So what it does is you can target a Madolche monster and you control basically one of your monsters that are on the field, except for the Xyz monsters. Please keep that in mind. It can't be an Xyz monster. Target one of your Madolche monsters that are on the field, return it to your hand and or deck, I believe. Return to your hand and negate that card's effect. So you target a face-up card your opponent controls. Let's say they try and Regeki you or Duster you. You activate this, flip over and target your Pudding Zester or your Angeli that's in the graveyard, or any other Madolches, doesn't have to be those ones, and return them to your hand. And then you would negate that card's effects. So yeah, very important. It's very, very good and recyclable as well. 2 Queen Tiramisu. I tested this out and I've got 3 copies of this. I can tell you that. I found out that through testing, you don't need the third. You don't need a third. The third is a win more card. The only reason why you would run a third is due to using it with Pot of Prosperity. You only need 2. 2 is the only way to. 2 is the best way to OTK. You don't banish any of these. So yeah, if you're for prosperity targets, you can go 3 or 6, up to you. It's not really mandatory to choose actually, it is mandatory to not banish this. Do not banish. You need at least 2 in your deck, extra deck, to OTK. With Class Souffle, you need 3 copies, but you can also banish one of them. You only need 2 in the deck. So normally what I do is I banish one from Prosperity. As for putting this chocolate mode, this one you can run this as a 2 of, but for budget reasons you can run everything at 2 of, if you have everything at 2. I usually ban, but the third one does come up at times, so I usually keep a third one sometimes, but if you want to run 2 of this, 2 and 2 and 2, you can. It's it doesn't come up as much. The third one does come up sometimes, just not too much, so I always banish it just in case I got nothing left. But it is a great way to spam out spam out big monsters and to OTK, because Chateau gives them 500 attack and defense. Yeah, so they become 3k beaters and they OTK like crazy. Zeus, this does come up sometimes, and Zeus is great if you can so battle with this or one of your Xyz monsters, and then you can make Zeus. It does come up sometimes. That's why I'm running 1 Zeus. If you don't want to run Zeus, that's fine. It doesn't come up because sometimes I just ban. This is it's also another target for prosperity. So if you can banish it off prosperity if you want to. If you think you're not going to summon it, this duel, because by the time you summon out your Yada monsters and OTK, you don't even need Zeus at that point. If you see a way to OTK, you don't need Zeus, so banish it off prosperity if you have that opportunity window. Free Frisch Sistart. Now this one, what I do, this is another target for prosperity. Usually I need the 1 copy. The second copy is only the only reason why you play free. Prosperity target. You only need 1, and also you can keep the second one in, but I chose you only keep the second one in if you misplay. But if you're having 2 copies is fine. 2 copies is all you need. So you can manage this, and this, or you can manage this, or this, and one of this. Choose whatever you need to banish off prosperity. If you're banishing off 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one of these cards to make it your 6th copy for prosperity, you can choose either one. 1 Nightmare Phoenix never comes up. It's a prosperity target. You mostly OTK in this as much as possible. But if it does turn to grind games, the Phoenix does come in. This does come in handy. So it does come up sometimes. Borrelsword Dragon. This is only used if you can't get rid of big monsters. This card does come in handy sometimes. I did pull it, interestingly enough, but I don't need to pull any more stuff from the packs, because I think I tried making invoked Eldlich in this spare account, but I don't really need it. So I just disenchanted everything and just crafted everything I need from Madolche. And also Access Kotoka, main staple. You don't banish it off this using this deck. You don't banish it at all from prosperity. You only banish it off if you have no other choice. This card does come up a lot, but yeah, that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed this in-depth discussion for Madolches, and yeah, please enjoy the replays. I spent a lot of time trying to perfect this deck, and I think this is a good ratio. If you want to adjust it to the way of budget reasons and stuff, I gave you more budget options, but you need certain staples if you're running this. If you don't have like Imperms, if you don't have Maxi, that's perfectly fine, but at least craft 1 copy of each. 1 Maxi, 1 Ash, and 1 Imperm, because you need this card. You need Crossout. Crossout is this deck's. You need Crossout and you need Call By. This deck is fragile as heck. You need it because you need it to OTK. I stress you enough. This deck's biggest weakness is getting hand trapped and also back road. So yeah, if you have multiple lightning storms, you need crossouts and you need Call By in this deck. Very, very important. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy this duel, the deck and duel replays later on. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.